Welcome to Live Unashamed, where we pause the show and invite members of our team to talk vulnerably about their own recovery, things they're learning, the resources that are actually working, and what it truly means to live unashamed.
Welcome to another Live Unashamed episode of Unashamed, Unafraid. I'm Sam, and this is my co-host.
What's up, y'all? Chris Bennett, Hulk of Hope.
Hashtag Hulk of Hope. I need to find a name, bro. It'd be like the...
Ask Steve, and he'll have it for you in like seconds.
He's good at that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like I wanted to be something cool.
Samurai Sam.
Yeah, something cool and medieval. I'll figure it out. So I know you're going to like this one because you always have a ton of insights on habits, work, recovery. The title of this episode is Do the Work. Reason why I wanted to talk about it is because what I'm finding in my recovery is I just have so much shame wrapped up in the actual doing of things. I think that was something that was kind of weaponized against
doing
me.
things or not doing things?
It's not doing things. Yes. Okay. Yeah, well said. Shame about not doing things. Shame about not being enough. Shame about not doing things well enough. And so when it comes to the actual doing, there's a kind of this intrinsic fear involved with that. Like, am I going to do it right? Is someone going to be mad at me? Is this going to be enough for my girlfriend? Is she going to see that I'm working hard? Right? Like, there's a million different forms of that shame conversation that could go on in my head. And I've found that, even
so let me ask you in that context of what you're saying, who are you doing it for?
Exactly, right. So
right, because it comes down to because if you're doing it for you, you don't care where they're at, right?
And that's something that came up the other day because me and my girlfriend, we've thought about getting married. We had this conversation. I said, "Well, what do you need from me? Right? What do you need from me?" And she had a really hard time answering that question because I think I was trying to get her to say, "Well, I need you to quit pornography in order for us to get married." I wanted her to say something that set an expectation, so that the responsibility was shifted from me onto her and there was more external pressure for me to perform because that's what I'm used to.
Right.
And it was so interesting as we talked about it. I said that out loud. I was like, hey, I'm so sorry, Jazz. I just realized what I did to you there. I'm trying to get you to be responsible for this because it's scary for me to set goals and be responsible about the way I want to show up in this relationship and love you. And it was a huge moment for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was huge, but there's that rears its head so often that I think it's worth talking about today. So, kind of cool, huh?
Yeah. Love it, man.
Something I've realized, and this is a very motivating factor for me. I felt this way. I remember as a teen, I would reach points where I had high levels of discipline, because I knew that was going to be important in recovery if I was ever going to overcome pornography. But a lot of it was guided by this shaming voice and presence that said, like, well, you're not enough if you make a mistake, or you're not enough if you don't do it exactly right. Right. So I would be like on top of the world for like 3 weeks, and I'd be like totally clean from porn, and I'd be like, I take my clothes off and I don't put it on the floor. Like I hang it up immediately. My bed is made every time I get up. I have a very exact schedule. I have A's in every single class, right? And then I would just something would hit me, or I would miss a day, and I would spiral out of control.
And sometimes it's not just missing one day. It's like, well, I'll get into it. I'll get into it tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, and then it's the end of the day, and you're like, shoot, I didn't do that again. Then the next day, I got it, I got it tomorrow, and then you don't show up again.
Yes.
And then it's like a week, and then you're acting out, and you're like, what the frick just happened?
And yeah, even when I would try to reset like that, it would just be exactly what you said. And so I just found myself on this merry-go-round, and have for a lot of my life. I think a big piece in that is dopamine. Like I've wanted to create habits that are consistent enough that I'm not allowing myself to just get the easy dopamine all the time, because I think it's part of a bigger problem too. When I'm not accessing porn consistently, a lot of times I'm watching a lot of YouTube. right? Like I'll just find myself, I'll whip my phone out and I'll just be like scrolling through my apps to see what the quickest thing is to distract myself. And
Right.
so there's this work that has to be done, and I see that, and there's this shame surrounding the work or the lack of work. And boy, it has been a tiger, you know. It just feels like it can't win that battle.
So instead of feeling and allowing yourself to feel, even just sitting in boredom,
Mm-hmm.
like you're like, I can't allow myself to sit here, so I'm just
Yes.
going to go to YouTube, right?
There was too much
and
pain.
then that's not enough to where, like, then you go back to porn, and then you want, I'm going to do a new thing. I'm going to try something else. And I'm not saying you, I'm just saying this happens in general, right? Because if you think about it, the average time spent on like a social media reel or anything like that is 15 seconds. You're saying I'm only going to give myself 15 seconds of satisfaction, and then it's not good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to go to the next one,
Yes.
and the next one, and next one. And so when we have time to just sit, we don't, because we're just going to use my phone, and I'm not going to allow myself to feel. That's why we get so out of touch with our emotions and feelings, and especially out of touch with our body and what actually is happening inside our body.
Yeah.
Is because we don't allow ourselves to even feel it.
Yeah, and you just named it. It's being out of touch with my feelings that's been the issue. So even when I've wanted to, I'll go and I'll say, okay, well, cool. What am I running from? I don't know. I don't know what happened today that made me anxious. I just am, you know? You find yourself over time numbing yourself and like so consistently that it just shuts that part of your brain off.
Totally.
And so that's a small piece of the equation I've been working very
So this
hard on
episode
as
is
well.
about doing the work,
Yes.
right? So what is the work that you've got to do to
Yeah.
pull yourself out of what the cycle that you're going through?
Yeah, the work looks like throughout each day and specifically at the end of each day. And I've been doing this a lot more. I've got a couple of me and my buddies, Masons, on that. We have a Marco Polo, and I'll just check in, happy or sad or positive or negative, the things that I felt that day or an experience that I had that, like, boy, really, really made me spiral. And to actually, like, identify these things and intentionally give them attention. That's not something I've done. It's like a muscle I've never used before, you know? So I'm like showing up to the gym and I'm like, what's a bicep curl, you know?
Yeah.
You can even give me I just don't know. That movement doesn't feel comfortable. And so the work for me is doing those types of exercises that flex that muscle in my brain that I guess I don't know that it's been flexed very much at all since I was probably 5 years old.
Yeah.
Those are some of the earliest experiences I can think of when whatever I did just wasn't enough.
Well, if you look at recovery, it takes work, right? You have to do the work. You can't think, I'm just not going to do the work and just hope it changes and everything's good.
Yeah.
No, when a temptation comes in, you freaking go to work.
Yeah.
You got a system in place. Like, I still use my system today. I think we've talked about systems on here before, where if a temptation comes in, I go to my system. I still pull it up and I can type in my system, because if that temptation isn't in my head and out of my head just as fast as it came in, and I know it's like now in my body and I can feel it, I'm like, I got to go to work. I got to do the work. And so the work is like going to God, connecting with others, connecting with my wife, connecting with buddies, the brotherhood, reaching out, calling someone, talking to someone, pulling up music, going for a walk, going on a hike, like getting myself out of the situation. And I still use that today with 17 and a half years of sobriety, because it freaking works.
Yeah.
Every time it works.
Are you the one that says if you want to make changes in your life, you have to make changes in your life?
100%. That was me, man.
I thought you had said that to me one time. I really enjoy that. I had a thought about that though, because there's been so many times in my life where I've used that truth to beat myself over the head and dive into the shame scripts again. And this, you help me articulate this thought. I think that when that happens, it's because I've stepped out of safety and kind of removed that from my life, and then I'm trying to force myself to do things without creating that peace for me. Like, for example, I feel unsafe, and I haven't created a safe environment for me to go do the work of sharing feelings, or I can't think of a safe person, or a safe person is not available at the time where I can go and open up and be authentic about some stuff that super bothered me during the day. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I just realized that's why it feels, because it's not about just this eternal doing. Like it's not like this like never ending, you just have to hustle your way into recovery.
Right.
That's not the answer. There's a piece of safety that has to be created for you in order for you to begin using the systems and begin doing the work. That itself is some work, but I think I get those steps out of line sometimes, and that's been kind of essential for me. And
Well, and see, I'll have clients that will come to me and like I'll give them homework to do for a week, right?
mm-hmm.
Do the thing that we're talking about, implement the strategies that we talked about, come back and they're like, man, I was acting out like 3 times this last week. So when did you use the things that we talked about? I didn't. Okay. Well, so let's do this again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all about, you got to do the work. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to have some changes, you got to do the work. I had to do something different because what I was doing definitely wasn't working.
Right.
I was still acting out. Even when my wife tried to take her life, I still was acting out after.
So I'm wondering how that safety piece factored in for you, Chris, because you've talked about how she came to you and she was just like, look, I know there's more. Like I'm ready for you to tell me everything. I just need you to tell me. Like, what were the experiences that you had with her that created the safety that you needed to start?
It was what she said and the way she said it.
Okay.
Because she was literally like, I could see it in her face. She's like, whatever you have to tell me, I can handle it. And it was just like a piece that overwhelmed me that I saw at the moment, that I was like, okay, I got more stuff to tell you, and we'll talk about it when we meet with our therapist on Tuesday. This was a Friday. I just knew, like, right then, like, now's my time to, like, do it and get it, because she was able to say that she could hold that space for me, and she's like, I can handle whatever you got coming at me.
That's so
I'm like,
fascinating.
okay, I got some shit coming at you. So and
Well
it sucked,
said.
and it
Well
wasn't fun,
said.
and it was hard, but we did it, and we've gotten to where we're at now in our relationship because we've done the work, and we continue to do the work. The work doesn't stop.
Right.
We keep doing it.
Wow.
Because it works.
Yeah.
Doing the work works.
Yeah, I know. I find it fascinating that you said, like, essentially what I'm hearing you say is, like, once you knew in that moment that this was your chance, that you finally had a chance, whether through your actions or own, right? And we know that, like, this is something I've been really intentional about. Like, I need to create safety for myself, right? But you found yourself finally in a situation where you're like, yeah, like, there's hope. I can do this. It is time for me to do the work.
And
that's
that
where things
actually came
changed.
from God, right?
Did it?
Because God was like, you need to make changes in your life.
Yeah.
And then she showed up in that moment.
Okay.
I mean,
Wow.
it was 2 months later after God talked to me about that, but it was really like, that was when I knew I could just disclose everything from being a kid through the rest of my life. Here's what you need to know.
Guys, we want to hear from you. What are you doing to create safety in your life, and what is the work that you need to start doing within that safe system you create for yourself? Email us, samchris@unashamedunafraid.com. Thanks for listening. If this was helpful for you, go ahead and like us, give us a 5-star review, and share it with someone else who needs to hear it. Don't forget to head over to our website, unashamedunafraid.com, become an outsider. Even just a small monthly contribution helps us do what we do so much. And until next time, continue to live unashamed.